Chapter 9? Chapter 9. Chapter 9. Cliff and his sailing foot. He was being shaken, and it wasn't by Johnny. Toby opened his eyes. His room was dark. It was black outside the window, which was streaked with rain, but the hall light was on. He blinked. Johnny was tearing downstairs. The top of his head disappeared. He heard the family whistle, urgent, fast, repeated again and again. He grabbed for his boots, knocked them over, dived for his closet, and seized his old sneakers. The shaking continued. It was the house. It couldn't be the house, but it was. And the screaming, his ears and his mind clicked together. He woke up. The horses, the cows, Windyfoot, everybody. He hit downstairs and nothing flat, his sneakers still in his hand. Supper was ready on the dining room table, but Dad stood in the middle of the kitchen, whistling like mad. All here? Dad's face was white under its brown, but he counted them. Mom, Bets, Johnny, Toby, Ribs, Poke. Toby stood on one foot and put on a sneaker. Here, Dad. His fingers fumbled with the sneaker laces. Get your shoes on, Clark, he told himself fiercely, hearing the wild horse voices in the stable. No time to lose, Dad said shortly. Mike phoned the damn it quarry, Q-U-A-R-R-Y, has busted. The whole valley is coming down. Mom, Bets, Johnny, up the hill to the sugar house. Toby, I'll need you here. Yes, sir. Mom had been hustling Bets and Johnny into their mackinaws. Both of them were too scared to object that it was spring and not winter any longer. They huddled together by the door, awaiting orders. Mom, barked Dad, get going. Mom took a look around the kitchen. Yes, Jim, all right. Bets, Johnny, start for the sugar house. You've got your flashlight. Shoo, fast. Jim, I'll keep the lanterns going. Soon as I get there. Yep, said Dad impatiently. Hurry up. Go on, shouted Mom to Bets and Johnny across the front yard. I'll be right behind you. Light a lantern right off so we'll know you're there, said Dad more calmly. Or wave a flash when you're halfway up. We've got to get down to the barn. Jim, Mom rushed back into the kitchen, her eyes steady and sure. She kissed Dad, kissed Toby, flew out once more, leaving the door open behind her. Dad closed the door with a slam and locked it. All right, Toby, we move quick. Wait till I try the village again. The phone was dead. Take Poke, said Dad, scooping up Ribs in his arm. We'll put them in Johnny's room with the pigs. They'll be safe there, and we'll open the attic door so they can get up there if they have to. I hope they won't have to, he added under his breath. The pigs! Toby hooked the attic door. The staircase led up from one corner of Johnny's room. Patricia and Patrick grunted and honked happily among the contents of Johnny's wastebasket. But Poke and Ribs flew up the attic stairs at once. Grimly, Dad slammed Johnny's door tight. They'll be all right. We've got to run. Barn and stable. They tore down the stairs, and when they reached the woodshed, the electric lights in the house went out. Toby's ears felt as if they were splitting from the racket down in the barn. Dad, hang on to my belt across the barnyard, Dad ordered crisply. Cliff's trying to get the cows out. You take care of the horses. I'll help Cliff. You bet, Dad. Toby hung on. They fought their way through the rising water at the stable. Dad asked, all right now? Yes, sir. Toby let go of Dad's belt and pushed through water up to his waist into the stable. He backed old Serena out of her stall and gave her a slap and started her off toward the hill. There was no light, and he worked by memory, his fingers rapid on Jake's halter. His eyes seemed to become accustomed to the darkness and the rain as he led Jake out of the stable and shoved him toward the barnyard gate. But at that moment, a hunk of jagged tree came swirling suddenly out of the night and hit Jake on the side of the head. Jake plunged, kicked, and disappeared downstream. "Jake!" Toby hollered, but Jake was gone. Tilly and Tossie, heavy and amiable, bucked the rush of the current outside the barn and started swimming up valley toward the hill. "Windy!" Toby sobbed. "Come on, boy!" "You're smaller than the rest of them, but you can make it." He jumped on the pony's back and leaned forward. "Swim, Windy, swim!" The Shetland swam. Keeping his head and Toby's above water, they passed the gate, the house, heading toward the Maple Road. Then Toby yelled with panic, "Dad! Cliff!" Dad's voice was almost in his ear. "Keep going!" He was trying to shove the frantic Georgette ahead of him, pleading with Georgette, for gosh sakes, to move her feet. Dad was swimming and pushing, and Georgette was complaining loudly to the skies. "Dad, Mom just lit the lantern." "Good." Dad breathed heavily. "Go on, Georgette." He looked back. "Cliff! Cliff!" called Toby. Then Toby and Dad opened their mouths, and nothing came out. About 20 feet behind them, Cliff was struggling to keep ahead of Chris, Betsy's bull calf, above water. Chris was bawling with terror, but Cliff had locked one arm under the little bull's neck, and he grabbed a beam as it came down on the flood. One arm around Chris, and... Can you see him? Can you see him in this photograph? It's a big photograph. Are they on this side? Are they on that side? On this side? There they are. There they are. He's grabbing the wood and... All right. I found him first. One around the beam. Cliff sailed off down Crooked River. "Barnacles!" yelled Cliff. He swept out of sight down Crooked River. "Cliff!" Toby called, cupping his hands. He felt as if his chest had caved in. "Oh no!" gasped Dad. "He can't go sailor-footing it off like this." "Cliff!" "He's sailing," said Toby, having a giggle, "whether he likes it or not." They had forgot Cliff then. They had to forget Cliff then and fight for the hill. When Windy's hooves touched solid ground halfway up, Toby slid off and hugged the trembling pony. "Good boy, Windy, good boy." Windy was too exhausted to do more than hang his head. Dad gave Georgette a final shove above the water and groaned, "Mooing!" Georgette kept going through the trees. Dad wiped his hand across his face. "Toby," he said roughly, "get up the hill to the family. Hurry up, the crest's coming." For once in his life that he could remember, Toby disobeyed. "No, Dad, I'm staying here with you." "You are?" "Yes, sir." "Okay, then, send Windy up the hill. Oh, glory, I hope the house stands." Toby gave Windy a slap on the rump. "Sugar house, boy." Windy lifted his head, poked through the trees, finally found the road, and clambered toward the sugar house. "Good boy, Windy," Toby called. Beside him, Dad made a strange sound. "What is it, Dad?" "The Smith house just smashed against the iron railroad bridge." "Where the river used to be?" Toby croaked. "Your flash dry?" "I hope so." Toby handed it to him. "Dad, look!" A house with a lantern-lighted window came swinging toward the south hill, missing their own house by a scarce foot. "Narrow," said Dad, coughing and testing the flash. A man's calm voice came out of the night. "Where am I?" "Clark's," Dad shouted, waving the flash. The voice came back as the house whirled off downstream. Hank Davidson! Goodbye. Dad yelled uselessly. Hank, Hank, hey! Toby grabbed Dad as the house hit the bridge and the lantern went out. Deborah! He began to cry. Dad gave him a shake, but let him hang on. Toby. Dad bent down and shook him again. Toby, we're not the only ones. Think of Cliff sailing downstream with Chris. I am. And the house is still standing, said Dad. Toby turned and leaned against Dad's chest and wept. Easy does it, said Dad, patting him. Easy does it, partner. Barnacles go, Toby. That's more like it, said Dad. Chapter 10 tomorrow.